Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. That was good. So yeah, so today is kind of a little more intense, right? So what we'll probably do is we'll go over this lesson, and then we'll leave Q&A time at the end, and that could be questions from your reviews yesterday, as well as questions for today, so that we just get all the questions at once. That way we're good and effective and efficient in it. And yeah, so we'll just kind of dive in. Does that make sense?
Dive in.
Cool. All right. I'm going to be having to fix this. I got to get this. This is the first time I've ever grown a beard. So this is like, it's going crazy.
Really?
Uh huh.
It's
Yeah.
very, it's very Austin.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, well, I've always had these spaces, but my barber has convinced me. He's like, no, 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 no. I do too. You can't tell though. So just stick with it. Let it grow. And in like 6 months, you'll thank me. So that's what I'm doing. So we'll see. We'll see. My goal is like a big beard. I've never done it. So uh,
Really? Oh, that's really
try it. We'll try it. So cool. So obviously, I am Ryan Withrow. And to Healthy Back Institute, I am their telemarketing manager. You can kind of think of me as their VP of telecommunications, right? That is kind of like a contracted position where I come in and I'm just a part of their team. And I'm a part of many teams, but this is one of my main clients. So I have a lot of clients, right? And I have a team that handles a lot of them. And I personally work with Healthy Back Institute because of how fun the team is and how much I enjoy the work. So that should tell you how like fun this team is to work with and be a part of, because I choose to take this on when I don't have to. I just want to because it's so fantastic. It's so fun. Um, so when it comes to the telemarketing management position, again, I think I've already explained a bit, but the high level of why I came to be in here is because I knew Jesse for a while here in town. I mean, we go to the same networking events and everything. And his company, as you could tell, is very much centered online. So it's very much direct response, internet marketing, affiliate mailings, and there's no conversation, there's no phone. And there never was any phone. So when I first met Jesse and he told me his demographics like 50 to 70-year-old, and he's selling supplements, and he doesn't have anybody picking up the phone to call them to sell them more or to check in with them and grow his business, that was like a big red flag for me that I instantly told him as a friend, like, even if you don't work with me, you need to make this happen because it can be really successful for you. So that's where our talk started. And then about a year after our talk started, he said, you know what, I'm ready for you. Come on in. And I've been working with him for 2 years now on improving inbound sales. So the customer support team taking the inbound calls and upselling and cross-selling and saving sales, as well as customer support and having customer support save sales, ask questions properly so that people stick around, and saving sales, obviously. But now we're building out and scaling this outbound component because we have proven it out now to be a 7-figure part of the business. So we're scaling it to be such. So by the end of this year, we should have ourselves $1 million arm of the business in outbound campaigns, which is really exciting. So yeah, so that's where I really came in to be here. But as far as me, and I'm just walking you through as if I would a speech here. So as far as me, where I come from and what I've done, that's my wife, by the way. That's Krista. I swear I've married up in life. So I think as soon as you get like a really good looking wife, she met me when I had long fingernails for guitar. So she met me hairy and long fingernails, and she liked me, so I knew I had to keep her. So
right.
yeah, so that was a must. So that's my wife, Krista, and so a lot of people ask like how I came into to be in this kind of a position and this kind of a role. So I'll kind of give you the high level so that you understand where I come from. And I'm from a very small town in Ohio. I'm from a town called Randolph, Ohio. And I zoom in here always to make it seem a lot bigger than it actually is. Because if I do it to scale, you could see how tiny that little blippet is in Ohio. And I mean, like, we had like ride your tractor to school day, like once a year. And everybody got really excited to ride their tractors and get whoever had like the oldest, coolest Alice Chalmer was like the winner of some kind of trophy. And that's like ridiculous. I was never fitting in that mold. I didn't like jive with that. Of course, I worked on farms and stuff ever since I was 13, but I never really wanted to, right? So one day, my wife and I decided to move to Austin when it was just like snowing and we were working virtually. So that's what brought us to Austin in comparison to Ohio. So I'll give you the high level here of like why I do what I do, so that you understand where these lessons come from. So again, like I said, guitarist, and like when I say guitarist, I mean like there's a guitar there, there's a guitar here always. There are about 4 guitars back in that closet. There's recording equipment all underneath of me right now, and I that's all I did. So my parents were divorced when I was 13, and with the same time I got a guitar. So instead of being like a bad kid or anything, I just sat in my room and played guitar for like 8 hours a day, going through like this weird feeling divorce situation and everything. And I got really good at playing guitar, and I started teaching. So I started teaching guitar, and it was really cool to be able to be like, I don't know, 17, 18 at that point, and having kids come into me that were my age when I learned, and being able to make them like really excited and get behind learning music and guitar. And during all of this, my parents were like spiraling. I mean, you're talking alcohol abuse, prescription pill abuse, like drug abuse. And I grew up in an environment where communication was horrible. I mean, I was never taught proper communication, hence why I sat by myself in a corner of a room and played guitar. So for me, teaching kids was really cool. But they got to a point where when I was doing well, I had a brand new car. I was living on my own really early, even before I could drink. I was living on my own in my own apartment, teaching 3 days a week, making like 40K a year. And in Ohio, that's great. That's fantastic. And I didn't work, 4 of those days, I didn't work. I just recorded. I sat down and practiced and recorded in my apartment. And things were good until I lost a bunch of students to online free training. So a lot of my students started getting onto YouTube, and they started watching all of this stuff, and they started noticing that the lessons I was giving them, you could just type in the name of the song and guitar lesson into YouTube and it pops up free. And Ohio couldn't compete. A lot of music stores know how to compete with that now, but Ohio couldn't. It was just too small of a town. They didn't know what they were doing. So I went from like 30 to 40 students to like 3 to 6 within like a 3-month span. And I went broke. I had to give up my car. I had to like not pay rent. I had to talk to the landlord and be like, give me 2 months, please. And I was eating like the canned spinach that was in the corner of the cupboard that you never knew existed there until you needed it. So I was filthy broke, and I needed to get a big boy job. So I obviously needed to walk somewhere because I had no car. And that's why you see like these gauges, and that's why you see like the tattoos all over me. I had these pierced, I had this pierced, because I didn't think I was ever going to have to get like a formal job. But there was something a mile away from my home, and it was the best I could do, and it was a call center. So nobody wakes up in the morning and says like, man, I can't wait to be a telemarketer. Like nobody does that. I didn't do that. So I was like dreading the position for a while. First of all, I had to get like a corporate job. Ugh, tell a musician to get a corporate job. And then on top of that, I had to sell and be a telemarketer. But I had to do it. So I went through 2 weeks of training and went on the phones. And the first day on the phones, I annihilated the whole room. Everybody that had been there for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years as the top salespeople, killed them, like blew them out of the water on calls. And that was the moment it clicked for me that I got paid to talk to people. And that means that I got paid to learn the communication I never learned. And that's where the addiction started for me in sales. That's really where I started falling in love with this idea that I can talk to somebody from anywhere in the world. And if I'm good at communication, I can sell them, or I can get them what they need, or help them, or talk to them and just like discover a problem they have. It was really cool. So I started studying, I started reading books, I started doing events, I started doing seminars, listening to audiobooks, everything that I could to master the skill. And before I knew it, 6 months went by and I was a supervisor. And then another few months went by and I was managing a quality assurance department. A couple months went by, I was directing call centers. So I just went on this ascension of going from call center to better position, better position, better position. And before I started my own business, I had about 400 million in direct sales experience. So $400 million is the experience I had before I started my own business. And when I started my own business, it was because I started heading a sales department for an entrepreneur virtually. And that's what brought me into this world of like direct response internet marketers. Somebody found me from another position and said, hey, I don't have a good leader in my sales role. Could you just do it? You'll be a contractor. Here's what that means. And I left a corporate gig for a contracted gig. And within, 2 months, 3 months, I was like, I love this. I need to grow this. And that's where I am now. I train on a couple different things. I train sales teams on one-on-one, like speaking engagements, on sites. I have long-term clients where it's like a done for you. I'm the head of this telemarketing department for Jesse. And then I have small interactions where my team improves sales processes as well. So anything that you could think of that is like customer experience based in sales and customer service, that's what I work on. But that's where I come from. So that's the high level there for you on where I came from. And I still play a lot. So you'll see guitars all over the place. And always on the desk. I've got picks ready to go, right? So yeah, it's really good. It's really fun though. I really enjoy what I do. So that's the high level of me. Again, nowadays, I've got more than 10 years experience in marketing and $500 million plus in direct sales, inbound and outbound campaign implementation, call center management, and supervision. I didn't write this. One of my clients had to write it for a government contract, and it was really funny to like see these metrics that they dug up because I didn't know. I had no idea like the multitude of things that I had done. So 500 million in direct sales is amazing. I'm really proud of that. And I'm excited that we're going to grow that with Jesse's as well. I see this possibility as like not just 7 figures, probably 8 figures worth of an arm over the next 2 years for Jesse, for sure. So here you go. This is why I liked you. This is why I really wanted you to come on board, because this is my life's mission and I felt like you vibed with it really well. I feel like there is this stigma around the word sales, because a lot of salespeople have created it. And it's a lot of those unethical, hustler, car salesman salespeople that give us a bad name. So my life's mission is to remove that stigma around the word sales and fill the world with ethical salespeople, improve customer experience, and by that we'll gain larger lifetime customer values for my clients. I'm about the long term, right? We should be. I'm about not that one transaction. Yes, I sold them. No, I'm about that one transaction and then the 18 to follow. So that's what I really teach. I teach you need to create an experience unlike any other so people just come back to you always. And it should never feel like a sale. It should feel ethical, honest, transparent. Make sense?
Makes sense. Yes. It's kind of amazing. I don't know if you're a little break here, but I'm so in line with everything that you're saying. I'll let you continue.
Oh no, that's fine. This is why I brought you on board. I can tell. So yeah, I can appreciate it. I really can. This is funny. This is a guy in town here. If you ever come into the Internet Marketing Party, it's once a month. Really fun event here in town. And David runs it. And I love his first line, which made me feel very nice, which is what Ryan Withrow is doing for sales is what Elon Musk has done for the auto industry. He turns sales into something that your customers want to deal with again. It makes me feel really good that people see me as that. And that's great. I love it. So David's great. You should come down one of these days. You should. I mean, you're honestly right there. So I'm thinking maybe one of these days, since you're so close, we should maybe plan eventually a lunch with Jesse or a dinner with Jesse, and then we could all go to the Internet Marketing Party. So we'll have to plan that.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So I pride myself not as a sales coach, not as a telemarketing coach, not as a customer service coach, none of that. I pride myself as a customer experience coach, because I think there's a big shift happening, and we'll talk about this shift. But the reason giving a great experience is key. I think customers see us in one of 2 ways. They either see us as an expense or they see us as an experience. And nobody pays twice happily for an expense. People will pay multiple times for an amazing experience and not think anything of it. Hence why I'm excited listening to my playlist of ACL Fest that's coming up here, because that's a great experience. I love walking down there and having a good time.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't even second guess it. I see tickets are on sale, done. I don't care. But the best example I have of that is last year. So my wife's birthday is approaching soon. So last year around this time, we were in Ohio. We always travel to Ohio. We travel a ton in life. So I'm surprised that I even have like this 1 month where I'm not traveling. But we travel a lot, and most of the time we drive. And we drive for multiple reasons. One, we're nerdy and we ride with cats in the back. We have these sleepy pods, which they sleep in, and it zips a cage on top, and it's a little bed, and they buckle into the back, which is really funny. So we have 2 cats that go with us everywhere, and we go to Ohio at least 2 to 4 times a year to visit family. And we always drive it, and we'll drive from Tulsa to St. Louis back home. And last year, around her birthday in August, we were driving from Tulsa back to Austin, and I hadn't planned anything for her birthday, and her birthday was the next day. And I was like, babe, I like all this travel. I couldn't plan anything cool. Like, what do you want to do? Let's just talk about it. Like, anything you want to do, we'll do it. You tell me. And we were driving through Dallas, and she said, let's stay in Dallas, downtown Dallas today. We'll go explore tomorrow. We'll stay again, and it'll be fun. And of course, it's my wife's birthday. So I said, yes, absolutely. And we pulled off. We stopped at the Westin downtown Dallas, checked into the Westin. After about 4 or 5 hours of driving, I wanted a drink and some food. So we got settled. We went downstairs to the bar, and we had food, and we each had 2 drinks, but they were the same drinks. So I ordered 1 beer twice, and she ordered 1 beer twice. And we went upstairs, went to bed. We were exhausted, woke up, and I took her to breakfast for her birthday. And when we got back into the hotel, this is where the experience side comes in, there was a serving tray on our table. And on the serving tray was a handwritten note, which is so important to me that I keep it on my desk at any given time. It was a handwritten note that had all of the executives sign happy birthday from the Westin. And they spelled her name correct, which is a C-H, not a K. So they had to look at that. They probably creeped on my Facebook a bit. But this was all handwritten. This isn't printed. Like, this is legitimately handwritten by the executive team. And this wasn't even the best part. The best part is that next to the letter were 2 drinks, the same exact drinks we ordered the night before. And
Wow.
yeah, and the reason I tell that story and the reason it sits on my desk here is because by doing that and spending probably $1 on this and probably $2 on the drinks, if that, so maybe $2 or $3, that experience set them apart compared to every single other hotel that I could stay at in downtown Dallas. So I have single-handedly stayed here more than any place in Dallas, and it's never a question to me where I'm going to stay when I stay in Dallas. It's always going to be the Westin downtown, because they gave me an incredible experience, and they actually genuinely gave a crap about me to look into what was going on and make me feel good and give me a great experience. So the reason I teach that story, and I always tell that story, is because if you give a great experience, nobody even considers the competition. Like, I don't care that this is expensive to go to. I'd rather pay twice as much as another hotel down the way and leave that hotel super happy than chance it at this point. Like, I don't want to do that. So for me, I keep this right here always to remind me about an amazing experience and what that really means. They have made thousands of dollars off of me at this point by writing that 1 note and caring for that 1 night. So that's the difference between an expense and an experience, for sure. So that's what I teach. So let me ask you, do you ever wake up really wanting a sales call? You do that? Like, are you excited for when telemarketers call you?
Right, yeah, exactly.
No. We're not excited at all. Like, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I can't wait to be sold. It just does not happen. Now, maybe 50 years ago, people thought differently. They didn't mind picking up that phone and having that conversation because they thought a lot more people were ethical about selling to them, right? And they wouldn't sell them unless they needed it. And we've had such a shift in that over the past years that it's insane. It's crazy to me how little people want to deal with salespeople. Now they'll deal with experience-based companies really easily and really happily. So the shift I've seen, and you've probably seen it too over the past, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years in the sales industry, is that people once cared about the product a heck of a lot more than the company. So people, if you're calling me to sell me this pen, I'm going to really 15 years ago ask you about the features of the pen, how it works, what the cost is, where the pen's made. And I'm really going to be interested in the product that I'm buying before I buy it. But now we're seeing such a shift in sales because people care about this, yeah, but they care about who's running it a lot more. So we're seeing this shift where people care about the product, but they care a heck of a lot more about the company behind the products than they did ever before. So we need to make sure that we are ethical companies and that we're transparent with customers with anything we're selling, because it's so freely available, your competition. I could buy this from you, or you know what? I could go to millions of other people to buy the same thing. I'm going to pick the person that gives me the best experience and doesn't feel like they're pushing me and doesn't feel unethical. It's just too easy to find competitors now, so we have to keep that in mind. So does anyone want a sales call? No, but people want a conversation. So people still in today's day and age are fine with having conversations. We haven't removed that element of human life yet. A lot of people think robots are taking over a lot. It's going to be at least 2 generations before anybody decides, you know what, I don't want conversation anymore. It's a really big thing. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Cool.
Yes.
Don't mind me drinking a bulletproof. I don't know if you do the bulletproof thing, but
I do. I do coffee and coconut oil.
Yeah, so we do. We switch between the grass-fed ghee and the grass-fed butter as well. But right now it's butter. So yeah, we do the grass-fed butter and then the coconut oil as well. So yeah, that's good. So nobody wants a sales call, but we still have to have conversations. We still have to be calling because it's still effective. We just have to make sure it's not feeling like a sales call in order to make it effective and work. So there are a couple different steps in my eyes to having a proper sales call or conversation with the customer. And a lot of people forget that there are multiple steps. People really focus on when you have that customer on the phone, what do you do? But I think there are 2 other steps other than when you actually have them on the phone that are actually more important than when you have them on the phone itself. And one of those is before the call, before you're actually making that call. What do you have to make sure you're doing to be extremely successful when that call happens? And first of all, tone is huge, right? I hear so many people call me, and I'm one of those guys that does pick up every now and then to listen to a sales pitch because I'm a sales nerd. So I'll listen to that stuff, and you can tell so quick if somebody's faking it. It's not hard. It's really easy to understand. And when I say a literal smile, I mean that people try to fake positivity when they're on a call and they're faking like they love their job and they love what they do. And it's so noticeable that they're faking it because they are not having an actual smile. And you could tell. You could tell the difference between a fake smile and a real one on a call. And we want to make sure that we feel so happy, so positive, so motivated that we're actually smiling when we're talking to people, because people feel that. They genuinely, subconsciously feel like, oh my gosh, this person is happy to work with this company. They're really proud of the products. I should probably listen to them. So we need to make sure that we set ourselves up for a proper tone. And with that, we have to make sure that we set ourselves up with a positive mindset. And this is something I see missed way too much in call centers specifically, because if you're in a call center, you'll see 25 people, and if one of them is irritated or negative, it's a cancer that spreads real quick. And you can ruin the vibe of a call center within 5 minutes to 10 minutes easily. And you just have to really be focused on that, because one negative mindset doesn't just ruin you and your day, it ruins everybody else's too without you even meaning to. So when I say the power of a positive mindset, it's genuine. What does it take for you to wake up and before you get on that call, feel energized, feel positive, feel excited? You make sure you do it. Every day before I even check an email, I wake up, I work out, I come back and I get ready, I make a bulletproof, and I sit down and I meditate because I need to get into a mindset. And in the morning, my mind's racing. It's going all over the place typically. And as soon as I'm able to meditate and focus on like the good in my life and express gratitude through positive affirmations and really be excited, there's nothing stopping me from being happy during the day then. I right now, right in front of you, as I'm on this screen, I've already gone through every bit of gratitude in my brain, and I'm a religious guy, so I prayed as well during meditation. And when you do that, there's no way that anybody's gonna like make you negative that day, right? It's too little. Like, no, you're this big right now, trying to make me negative. I know much bigger. So for me, the power of a positive mindset, however you need to have it, make sure it's a focus of your day. Make sure, if it's meditation, meditate. If it's exercise, exercise. If it's going outside to have your coffee to take like a breath of the fresh air and then fill your lungs with that, great. Whatever it is, just make sure you're positive on the call because people can tell. Even if they don't say it, even if you don't say it and you fake it, people subconsciously can tell. And you'd be surprised how like the subconscious decision of purchase versus not purchase happens when just there's a little bit of an adjustment in attitude, for sure. Make sense?
Makes sense for sure.
Cool. So what kind of rituals do you have? Do you have any in the morning that you really do other than the bulletproof, obviously?
Yeah, I do. Every morning I walk my dog, and we live right on Lake Travis, so I just right around the block. I go to the lake. It's beautiful. Go to the lake, and it's so quiet and serene in the morning. So I sit there by the lake and listen to the waves rolling in. Or some days it's completely like glass smooth. It changes every day. The weather, changes every day, and it's sort of a meditational moment. So I do that.
That's good.
Every morning.
That's really good. Yeah. We're really excited. We're planning our vacation. We're going to do Mexico. We always go to Mexico. I mean, that's nothing new. But we always go there. So we're really excited about just disconnect, waking up every morning and just like sitting in front of the waves for like an hour, not talking at all, and just like closing the eyes.
When are you guys going?
What was that?
When are you guys going to Mexico?
When we're going in September, and we're going to Akumal this time, we believe. We usually stick around between the Cancun and the Puerto Morelos area. So, it depends on where we want to go there. But we've got friends that we've known over the years that live in like downtown Cancun. So inland that we'll go visit and hang out with. We've got friends that are in Playa del Carmen that always want us to hang out there. So that's why we stick around in those areas typically.
Yeah, cool.
So cool. So prejudgment is the next thing I want to talk about. There are a couple different forms of prejudgment. Again, this is all before the call. This is, right as you're about to pick up that phone, we have a choice as salespeople or just communicators in general. And the choice is, do we prejudge or not? And there are different types of prejudgment. I believe there are two main ones, if you ask me. And one is emotional prejudgment, and one is financial prejudgment. And I, unfortunately, learned both of them the hard way, which is fine. Through my struggles, you learn very fun things that you can do and don't do. So the first one was financial prejudgment. So my first call center, which I went from agent to supervisor in quickly, was a call center that we were responsible for 200 to 300 million in revenue a year. And it was a call center that sold heaters. So it sold electric fireplaces, and they ranged from, $200 to $400 a piece. So people would call, there would be a promotional ad in the paper, and they'd call and we'd convert them on the call, selling them one, maybe two. And one time I took a call and this guy was just asking question after question after question after question. And I started getting irritated with his questions because I was like, this guy is not going to buy. I know when people are just asking questions and just BSing and needing somebody to talk to. And then he was like, hey, by the way, could I get like, how many could I get? What's the limit? Could I get like 80? And I took that as like a, kind of like a joke and like a BS type of situation. And I said, yeah, you know, I could check with the supervisor if you want. And he was like, yeah, check with the supervisor. Go ahead. So I did. And they were like, yeah, we just have to run some special things through. But I didn't believe the guy because that would have been a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking to people usually that have a hard time paying for one. But if we're paying $297, you're talking 23 grand, 24 grand. I didn't believe it. So he asked at the end, he said, I need to go check my balances and check everything out. Do I need to call you directly if I wanted to? And that was the moment I prejudged. And I said, he's BSing. I've got better things to do. I could be talking to customers that I can actually convert. So I told him, you could call back and talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. I said, it doesn't matter who it is. Don't worry about it. We'll all help you. We're all here to help. And he said, okay, well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. He called back and he bought from somebody else. And when you're talking 24K, I believe let me see here. I believe that it was like a 10% commission on that stuff. So you're talking a couple grand. Like that's me being like 19, 20 years old. A couple grand was a lot of money. And I lost out on it because why? I prejudged him financially. So it was that moment that I realized what financial prejudgment was and realized that you have no idea who you're talking to on the other end of the phone. You have no clue. You can't see. So you have to assume that you're talking to Bill Gates, right? You really do because you never, ever know. So that was financial. Emotional is a bigger one that I think a lot of people forget or don't think about. And emotional to me means that somebody gets on the phone upset and you prejudge the fact that you can't turn it around and you need to get them off the phone. And the story I have for that is I was supervising and directing actually another call center and it was Christmas. Well, the next day was Christmas. It was Christmas Eve. And I was that supervisor with my team that I was like, you know what? I'll take Christmas Eve. You guys enjoy. Go ahead. Feel free. I'll take on the supervisor role instead of director for tonight. Go ahead. Leave. So they all left. And late at night, I had a supervisor call. And I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's like somebody's really irate. The agent can't fix it, and you need to fix it. So, yeah. So literally, I get an agent walking up to me on Christmas Eve when we're about to close that says, hey, I've got somebody on the line that's really mad, and I can't help him. So I was like, all right, I'm a supervisor. I have to do this. So I take the call, and it's 10 minutes of just yelling, berating, like cussing me out. And normally I would hang up on that kind of a situation, but it was Christmas Eve. I didn't want to. I didn't want to hang up on anybody. So I just stuck with it for 10 minutes, responding, repeating back what was said, and just being very kind, very authentic and genuine, and very positive and appreciative, and just smiling the whole way, trying to help resolve the situation. And at the end of 10 minutes, he apologized, which is something we always look for, right? But he apologized and then said, and I quote, I don't mean to take it out on you. I woke up this morning on Christmas Eve and my wife had written me a note. She left me. His wife left him on Christmas Eve, wrote a note, and took all of her crap out of the house. And that was a moment that emotional prejudgment really kicked in for me on multiple levels. One, it was like, wow, like I can't believe that happened and I was able to resolve that. But on top of it, I realized the power of communication in sales and customer service. I talked to somebody for 10 minutes who was in a horrible mood, and he ended up breaking down every personal barrier and wall and explaining to me this massive tragic life event that happened. And he just opened up about it and became a great customer, like called back multiple times in the next year or so just to connect with me and buy from me directly. And And that was my example of emotional prejudgment. So prejudgment in itself is horrible. Why is that? Why do you think we don't want to, like, high level prejudge people before we talk to them?
Well, okay, so I could go on and on for hours about this because, when you're working in personal training, somebody walks in the door, they're walking in with a lot of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And there's so many lessons to be learned there. Or they're walking in, after they've already their credit cards been charged 5 different times, and they're walking in angry and they want to cancel everything.
Yeah.
So, there's so many, I mean, literally prejudging people happened every single day in, my situation. So somebody would walk and go, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's do this. Come on. I want a personal trainer. And then they'd walk out. They were just BSing you. They'd walk out. Or somebody would walk in and say, I am with their wall up, I am flat broke. I'm telling you right now, I'm flat broke. I have no interest in what you're offering me whatsoever. I don't even want to be, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. That stuff happens every day. So you learn not to prejudge really, really quickly. People would break down and start crying in front of you all the time because, this is because I used to train my assistants. Mm-hmm. And I would tell them, you never know what people are dealing with. And a lot of times what they're saying to you, there's a different meaning behind it. So you have to look behind what they're actually saying. It's so important. And I feel like that if you have that emotional connection and that emotional intelligence, that you're if you're talking sales, you're going to be more successful than somebody that just, who's just taking people at their word and not realizing that everybody's got a wall around them that you have to break down. One more thing too is when people would come in, we had to save deals all the time. Of course, people would come in, have buyer's remorse.
Sure.
They come in expecting you to be like a nasty customer service. They expect bad customer service.
Yeah.
Time and again, if you just sit and listen to them, and what I do, and I think this is important, I do this in life, is I put myself in their place. Put yourself in their place. What if all of a sudden I didn't realize what was going on? My credit card got charged 5 different times. So you show a little bit of an understanding, and you win them over to the point where people would double their contracts. They would be so happy. They'd be like, okay, and you talk them into like doubling their contracts, things like that. So yeah, that I'll cut it off there. I could go on and on.
No, so good. Like, I mean, that's exactly the point. And for me, the prejudgment comes in like, you never know who you're talking to. You never do. I mean, you're talking to a guy here that job that I took that took me from corporate to contracted, and I was overseeing a sales team. It was a tech and marketing company. And I would hop onto a call to sell somebody a tech and marketing package that was like, $50,000 to $100,000. And I was thrown into it. So I remember one time talking to somebody a bunch and just being like, la, da, da, da. So did you want to go with it? Yeah. And he was like, well, give me a call back or send the proposal to my team. We'll all take a look. And I was like, cool. I hung up the call and I talked to my supervisor at the time. The actual owner of the company was technically my supervisor. And he was like, so how'd that call with Tony go? And I was like, I think it went good. He's like, you do know who that was, right? And I was like, no. He's like, Tony Robbins? And
no kidding.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not sure I know that guy. Who is that? Like, I didn't know. I had no idea who these people were. Like, I was an Ohio kid that had a corporate job. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And he was like, you don't understand. But it was okay because I don't prejudge anybody. I never prejudge anybody. I act like that person on the other end is a billionaire, positive, loving human being that's doing nothing but good in the world. And that's what I imagine with every single call. Sure, you're going to find people that you don't sell and you could have prejudged properly. Yeah, but I'm not going to risk it. So yeah, that's why prejudgment is huge for sure. All right, let's see here. Let's go on. So this one is something that we talked on yesterday and you started working towards, right? Product knowledge is big. And product knowledge for me, you're only as good as your product knowledge in my eyes. So when somebody calls or you call somebody and you represent yourself as the Healthy Back Institute, guess what they're expecting? They're expecting you to be an expert. So they're not expecting you to call and be like, I don't know much about this, but I'll sell it to you. No, they want you to be an expert. They rely on that. You work for the company. You're representing the company. The company should be hiring and training experts in what they sell. So product knowledge is big. And I think a lot of people stop learning in their product knowledge at a certain level. Me, I'm always learning. I am always digging into stuff. I have clients that I've had for 2 to 4 years, and I am still going through their sales funnels, going through their new products, like having them shipped to me so that I can like be a part of that experience and learn and understand ongoing. Because I feel like you need to be on top of your product knowledge to be a good, effective salesperson, not just in that sleazy way, but in the way that you're an expert. If you want to help people, you have to know what you're selling. And that's what product knowledge is for me. So one key piece here that I know I listed in the questionnaire, which was really funny, is features versus benefits. I think the exact question I listed was that I had a 1986 Pontiac Safari rusted car, give me 3 features and 3 benefits. And the reason I do that isn't just to like have you pitch me in the note. I want to make sure that we understand the difference between a feature and a benefit, because there are huge differences. So do you know the difference? Do you know the difference between a feature and a benefit?
Yes. Yes. A feature is, yeah, thanks, Ben. A feature is what the product offers. A benefit is what it does for you.
Good. Perfect. Nailed it. Yeah, my explanation is always a feature is what it does, and a benefit is what it does for the customer. So that's really big. We never want to give a feature and leave off a benefit, right? It's fine every now and then to leave off features, but we never want to leave benefits on the table. We always want to end with a benefit or present a benefit, because that's what the customer really cares about. They don't care that, this keeps things warm for 8 hours. They care that when you need it to be warm after you forgot it sitting there for 3 hours and you're talking too much about your sales processes and you go to drink it, it's still warm. It's perfect for you. So you want to make sure that you associate a benefit for them in their life specifically anytime you give a feature. So when you're saying, these capsules, this comes with 90 capsules in a bottle, okay, that's a feature. What's the benefit? The benefit is that if you go with that standard dosage at first to try it out, that's going to last you an entire month. You're not going to have to worry about getting another bottle until next month. It's perfect. So yeah, feature versus benefit. I feel like a lot of people get caught up in features. And as a customer, man, features are boring. So I'll lose interest real quick if that's the case. So something I always tell people to do is start collecting as you're learning this role and as you're learning products, start collecting in a note or a spreadsheet or something, features and their correlating benefits. So heal and soothe, you know all the features. Now let's assign some benefits to it. And as you start making these calls and you start pulling out more information and understanding what benefits work really well, okay, let's reverse engineer and figure out what feature goes with that benefit so we can prove it to the customer and vice versa. So I always tell people I have a running log of features and benefits for all of my clients and like their specific businesses so that I can make sure I understand those when I'm talking to other contractors and other customers and other partners as well. So product knowledge is big, but I trust that you know what you're doing with product knowledge, considering you studied a lot before we even hopped on the phone. So I think you're good there.
Yeah, I said.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll continue to study, and I will become extremely knowledgeable on it because it's important to me. Yeah. And it'll be, I won't, like right now I would look at notes as I did, already made my notes. But pretty soon it'll just be second nature for me. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I always tell people what my wife always tells people. And that is the first call is the worst call. And then once you're done with that first call, it's like, it's just knowledge going every single step, educating myself every single call. So yeah, it's good. And practice makes perfect, right? So that's true in this day and age and this career and this actual role as well. Practice makes perfect. I need to practice my scripts. I need to practice objection handling. I need to practice having conversations, not sales calls. And I'll teach you how I do that later. And I need to role play. I am that nerd when it comes to starting up a new campaign for Healthy Back Institute, where my wife's desk is right next to mine. She's out right now, but her desk is right next to mine. And as I'm writing a script, I'll just tell her, you got a minute? You got like 5 minutes? Cool. All right. I'm going to act like a customer. You read this to me. And we're still role playing. We're still testing things out. We're practicing because it does make perfect. I don't want you to sound like a robot on the call. I want you to be yourself. I want you to feel confident and calm and be able to put your own personality into stuff. And I don't think you could do that unless you practice and really learn, because the scripts are the way they are right now, sure. But again, I don't want them to be word for word. I want you to feel confident enough that you know where you're going in that script. You know what the offer is. You know all that stuff, so that you have a lot more fun just being you on the call rather than having to worry about reading what I wrote. And that's a big thing. So practice always makes perfect. And this is something that you could do at home. I mean, you could practice stuff at home. You could practice stuff with me. You could practice stuff with the team. I'm never going to be a guy that says, no, I don't have enough time to run through a script with you. I'm not going to be that guy. So always be willing to practice. All right.
That's so funny. We have that in common. When I used to train my assistant managers, if we had some downtime, I'd be like, yeah, we're doing some role play. Every day we did role play. We'd have fun with it and joke around, but every day they'd roll their eyes at me like, really? Again, come on, role playing every day. Every day. We did it every day for 4 years.
Yeah. The biggest one is objections. Like, if you could role play objections every day, you're good. Like, you are going to be good. If you just sit down in a sales meeting or a team meeting and you're like, hey, Shella, you know what? I know that I used the product for 3 months, but it's not working for me. I'd like a refund, right? And it's like, oh, I'm on. All right, I have to try. It really works. It does. And it works to test different things on different customers, too. I'm not above that. I'm not above like you trying to say, okay, I'm going to try a different method with this customer to see if I can do something. Because my goal is never to have a sales team. My goal is always to have a sales community. And the difference between the two of those is that a sales team, they're just like, they sit down, they do their job, they hope to do well, they're out. But a community, if agent 1 and agent 2 are sitting next to each other and agent 2 is having a horrible day, can't sell anything, but agent 1 is just killing it, they're talking to each other and they're helping each other. And they're saying, I'm trying this, you should try it too. It's really cool. It's really working well. So when you're testing different things and making things work, I'm all for that, because we can all optimize this process together as we go. And I'm totally for that collaboration. So yeah, I believe in that highly. I highly believe in that. So we had before the call, that's step number 1. During the call is step number 2, obviously what a lot of people focus on. And there's obviously a third step after, but we're going to focus on during the call heavily. There's a lot of stuff to dig into here. And I think I've talked about this number with you before. Do you remember what it was for? What does that number signify?
I don't remember.
Give me a guess. At least one guess.
I know you. I do kind of vaguely remember you saying. I don't remember at all.
No. All right. It's bad. Average human attention span, 8.25 seconds.
Okay.
8.25. That was in 2015 too. I think they're redoing the study this year. They expect it to be much lower. And what was that? Sorry.
I think it's lower.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's going to be lower. I mean, this is like, I only fill my presentations with like factual evidence. So this is backed by a study. But 8.25 seconds is what it was in 2015. A goldfish is 9 seconds. We're worse than goldfish. And before that study, before that 2015 study, I believe it was at 12.5 seconds. So we almost cut it in half from one study to the next. And what this means to me as a salesperson is pretty important. I have to make sure that I keep people's attention. That's 8.25 seconds. That's, people are trailing off really friggin' quick in conversations. And just so you know, by the way, that's like a general attention span. When it comes to video, we're actually higher. It's like 2.7 minutes or so on video, but that's still depleting, right? Still going down. but we've kind of trained ourselves over the past years to really love YouTube videos rather than talking or reading or paying attention to something. So it's crazy, but 8.25 seconds is what we have to keep people in touch with us.
Yep.
So how do we fix that? How do I make sure I am having somebody's focus long term? What do you think the answer is?
Okay, so I always made my presentations interactive because I would see their eyes glazing over a lot. So I would ask them questions about themselves. People love to talk about themselves, so you can't babble on about, about your demonstration or your presentation. Ask them questions about themselves. They perk up just like that, So what are your goals, or whatever it may be, and then they love it. Start talking about themselves. I made it interactive. Always asked a lot of questions, and I made it fun. I tried to joke around with them a little bit. Just I think making it interactive and asking questions is how I used to do it.
This is why I like you, Shella.
We're like
easy enough. Questions. Questions. You ask enough questions, and people start realizing real quick that you're keeping them on the hot seat. Like, they have to pay attention. Otherwise, they're going to look kind of dumb, like, for lack of a better term, when they realize that out in front of everybody, they have to admit they weren't paying attention. That's something that a lot of people want to avoid. I remember, think of class. Think of, like, high school, when you're not paying attention at all to the lesson that's going on. You're just kind of drifting off, and that teacher says, "What do you think, Ryan?" You're like, "Oh, no. Oh, no." And you're like, do I just go for it? Do I just try to make up an answer hoping it's right? So it's really embarrassing, and we avoid it because we don't want that awkwardness. So when we start realizing that we're being pulled back in for questions, we continue to focus so that we're not embarrassed. And it does make it very interactive. A big thing that a lot of people say all the time that I totally feel is true, I should be talking 25% of the time on a sales call. That at the most. Somebody else should be talking to me 75%, telling me their problems so that I can find the solution. If I don't let them talk enough and I don't listen enough, they're going to walk away with something that might not be good, and it might not be the right fit. And guess what? They're going to be really mad at the company when they find that out. So I'd rather just let them talk, hear them out, and make sure I send them away with the right thing. So I actually have a methodology behind properly asking questions. And the reason I had to do this is because we live in a day and age where people we're really rude to each other without trying. I have a 17-year-old brother-in-law who's, obviously super young. But I have a 17-year-old brother-in-law who, that kid does not mean to make you feel unheard. But my gosh, does he make you feel unheard, because he's just raised in this situation now and in this generation where he doesn't actively listen. He doesn't acknowledge when somebody's done talking. He'll just throw in a statement. He'll just start talking on top of it, and he'll never ask a question in return. It's just, he doesn't care. Like, it's evident that he only cares about what he has to say. And that's the way we are a lot of the time as humans and as communicators. We're really bad at making the other party feel acknowledged, heard, and understood. And in sales, there's nothing more necessary than making somebody feel heard and understood. So the 4 A's in asking questions is a process that is supposed to put a system behind a natural feeling or a natural conversation. So at first, when you start using this or trying to use this, it's going to feel a little off. It's going to feel a little awkward. But just like your product knowledge, it's going to start to feel like second nature. And you're going to start noticing that people really connect with you a lot more when you use this method. So I'll go over it with you. Actively listening. So few people do this. If I'm in a crowd, if I'm speaking to a crowd, and the last crowd I spoke to was like 150, 200 people, and I was standing up there and I said, actively listening. Half of you at least are guilty of not doing this right now. And, a lot of people laughed and giggled, and it was true, because they're preparing what they're going to say inside their own head, or they're thinking inside their own head. They're not being present. and they're just in here by themselves, not giving me any attention, even though, the people paid me a lot of money to speak and my information is really valuable for them and I want to help them. They're in their own head. And it's something I call self-centered listening. When you are not actively listening, you are having self-centered listening because you're just wanting to hear yourself. That's all it is. And nobody wants to be considered self-centered. So when we actively listen, it's the idea of shutting up the internal voice, not preparing what we're going to say, and just hearing, like genuinely hearing. And there are things that can help you along the way. I mean, I'm a huge note taker. I find that notes really help me actively listen because I have to be engaged writing down what I'm hearing. So not only am I hearing it, but I'm writing it and remembering it that way. So actively listening is key. It's something a lot of people miss. But the second thing that people miss is acknowledging somebody made a statement or told you something. How many times when you talk to somebody, do they just go into responding? An example would be, oh, I really like Bulletproof. Do you like Bulletproof? Of course I like Bulletproof. Yeah, that you just responded to me, but you didn't acknowledge that I had been heard. So an acknowledgement is simple. It's a yes. It's an okay. It's a sounds great. Fantastic, good to hear, good question. It's a separate piece of communication outside of responding. That's what acknowledgement is. And that right there lets them feel heard because we take enough time out of our conversation to say, got it, I understand. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. All right, he heard me. Now I'm ready for his statement. So then we add a statement. So we actively listen, we acknowledge. Now we add a statement. And the statement usually starts with responding directly to what you just actively heard. And it's just talking through it. But as a salesperson, adding a statement, this section, the third A in the process is where we can control the call and really be effective at what we're doing without feeling sleazy. And it's where we can guide the path of a conversation. So, if I'm talking about today and somebody said, man, it's really nice out today. Can you remember the last time it was so nice? Man, good question. I've been in Ohio for the past month of my life. So any day here in Austin that's this nice is perfect for me. So I'm trying to think, but no, I think the nicest day I probably had other than today was when I was in Ohio, probably 2 weeks ago. It was gorgeous out. I was in a lake. It was wonderful. Have you ever visited Ohio by chance? So I took that statement and instead of talking about the same thing, I was able to control the path of the conversation and start talking about, have you ever traveled to Ohio? But it didn't feel sketchy or weird. So we have an ability in that add a statement section to answer the question and then control the call as well with the next part of the statement. So it's really fun. It's really cool to start honing in. And then we want to always end on asking a question. Why do you think we always end asking a question other than the attention span? Why do you think that is?
Well, because it re-engages them and gets them to respond, and that they're engaged and that they're listening.
Yeah, good. So for me, all true, totally true. The other thing that it does is it removes this.
Yeah, right.
That socially awkward, weird dead air. I coined dead air as, it's kitschy, the silent killer of sales, because I really think that dead air, man, as soon as you have a situation where somebody's like, am I supposed to talk, or are they gonna talk? And then somebody talks, but the other person does too, and you're like, oh, sorry. No, you get, and it's really weird and awkward. But the whole time that's happening, their confidence in you as an expert is just sinking, just going down. And the rapport you've built and the trust you've built, it starts to get awkward and it starts to get a little tense and weird, and you lose all of what you built because of that just weird silence. You don't feel like an expert if you don't know what to talk about. So for me, asking questions is key in removing dead air because it just keeps the conversation going back and forth. So I'll give you an example of how this conversation would look, and then we're going to role play it out. We're going to try it. So I'll talk to myself. I'll try that at first. And because I am still drinking my Bulletproof, I'll talk about this. And I as the party listening, am actively listening to somebody say, Yeah, I started drinking Bulletproof because I met an entrepreneur friend here in town that actually had a really serious traumatic brain injury years ago, and he was in a coma. And when he woke up, he made it his life's mission to think about brain optimization and brain nutrition so that he can repair his brain to proper, if not better, function than it was before his brain injury. And it was really cool to have those conversations and see. Have you ever tried Bulletproof before yourself? I, as the next party, heard that. And I said, good question. I've tried it a couple times and it really just didn't feel right to me. I don't know if it was the flavor. I don't know if it was the taste, the fact that I knew butter was in there was a little weird, but I decided to just go with the oils, the MCT oil or the coconut oil, and just leave the butter out of it. Have you ever tried having it with just the oil? Good question, right? So we keep going back and forth. And it's really, really darn effective and really exciting. So let me see.
Another thing, Ryan, I found is that people are, as you said, people are so used to not being listened to that when you actually do listen to them and you repeat things that they've said, you include it in the next statement, you repeat something that they've said, they instantly like you. People instantly like someone who listens to them because their whole life, their own family and probably their spouse, they're not listened to. And that likability is what makes sales, So and you would see sometimes when I would always try and remember something they said and repeat it back to them maybe, 5 minutes later, and their eyes would light up like, oh my God, nobody's ever done that, in a zillion years actually listen to it. It is huge. I think it's a skill because I don't think people are natural listeners. It's a skill that you learn and you get better at it as you go along.
Yep, I agree with that. I totally agree with it. And I feel like a lot of people can fake it though, as long as they get a good system here. But yeah, I totally agree. I don't feel like you can be good at selling if you're a poor communicator in general, because it requires such communication. So yeah, so let's give it a shot. I usually go to here and say good luck remembering the steps, but we'll keep it up so that you understand the steps. You actively listen.
I got him.
Look at you. You're good. All right. So we're going to try this, and we're not going to do it related to any products, so don't worry about that. We'll do it related to just kind of the everyday stuff so that we can try different techniques. So I'll start. I'll be the one talking initially, and then we'll kind of go from there. But I am a massive Apple user. I mean, I've got the MacBook Pro here. Hooked to that MacBook Pro is my Thunderbolt display that I'm looking at you on right now. And then I've got my iPhone plugged into the whole rig as well. And then I'm looking at my wife's MacBook Pro as well. And then we've got the iPad as well hooked up. I feel really nerdy with all these Apple products for sure. Are you an Apple fan or are you more of the Microsoft Windows fan?
So I am way more of a Microsoft Windows and Android. I'm a huge Android fan from way back because I've always thought Android could do things that Apple can't.
Gosh, I love this part of the training. I love this every time. So, every time. This is not you. This is everybody. So let me kind of condense this here real quick.
So am I the salesperson or are you the salesperson here?
What was that?
Am I the salesperson or are you the salesperson here?
Oh, it doesn't matter. We're not selling. We're just having a conversation. So, hold on. Let me write this down so I can erase it. Get Shella products. Okay. Let me erase this. All right. So, we've got the first A, second A, third A, and the fourth A. Every single person, 100% of the time. So don't feel out of place. Don't feel weird about this. Don't ever feel odd about this. They only do the third one. Now, I mean, I'm sure you probably heard me, so I'll count that as well. But they only go to the third. And the exact reason is because that's how we're trained to talk. That is exactly how our conversations every single day with family members, friends, people go. We always just go right to add a statement. So what we should try to do, and we'll do it again and watch, you'll fix it the second time. Always happens that way as well. So what we should try to do in that situation, I asked you, are you an Apple person, or are you a Microsoft Windows type of person? And you actively heard me. You could easily say, great question. Some kind of acknowledgement. Great question. Got it. Something to let me know you heard me, right? Something simple, one word. That's all that matters. You tried one, I think. You said the word so. No, I mean, that kind of feels more like a statement beginning than an acknowledgement, but you'll start finding acknowledgements that work naturally for you. But you nailed the statement. I mean, you gave me a great statement, just as everybody does. And then I sat there in dead air for a minute waiting for a question to be asked. So we're going to be going back and forth. Same exact me, you. Me. And we're just going to go back and forth with this, all right? So, and again, it's I always get so pumped up because it's something that everybody does. I'm not even kidding you. Every single person.
I realized doing this. I didn't. You're right. I was just doing normal communication. I wasn't. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So we'll do back and forth. So let me talk on this. Let's start here. So you said Apple, Windows. Yeah, you always think that they could do more than Android and could do more than Apple. All right, so I'll start here. Good point. And I've got actually a lot of friends that are in the same boat. My one brother-in-law, Eric, is totally against me having Apple products. And I think every single text message that he sends me makes fun of the fact that I use Apple products. But that's because he was a developer. And I feel like when you're a developer, you like to build your own stuff. You like to be able to do different customizations. And Apple, for me, the reason I use it is because it's just long-term reliability. And I need a lot of bandwidth. I need like something that lasts a long time. In fact, this computer that I'm looking at right now has lasted me about 7 years, and I use it 12 hours a day, probably. So it's been really reliable. Do you find that your computers are just as reliable, or have you not really tested that out too much?
Well, I hear you on the Apple. That totally makes sense. I've actually heard that from some other people before. So it makes sense that you would want to stay with Apple considering the reliability. I have found that my Microsoft Windows is just as reliable. I think that I've had a computer for about 8 or 9 years now that's still working pretty well. So yeah. Have you ever tried Android or Microsoft products, or have you always been with Apple?
Great question. Yeah, and it's funny. I used to be very much a Microsoft person. I used to love my Windows computers, and I used to record on Windows computers, and I would do all of that stuff for all of my music recording needs. But then it got to a point where I remember being on a Windows-based computer, and I had too many tracks, and it just shut down on me. And I had that blue screen of death. And that was the moment I realized I should probably invest in better equipment here than what I have now. And that was the transition for me into Apple. So, it took literally me doing things that I do as hobbies to understand that I needed more capacity. What about you? What do you do as far as hobbies are concerned? Anything exciting?
Yeah, well, that's that doesn't sound natural for me. Good question. I got to come up with something better than that. Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm not going to lie. I've had the blue screen before too, but that makes sense that, since it wasn't working with your music, that you had to sort of move on and progress on that. For me, the reason that the Android works, particularly switching to the Android phone, is I found that when iPhone first came out, you had to pay for iTunes, and I was able to download music on my phone for free. So I was always kind of making fun at everybody on the Apple, saying, you're paying for what I'm getting for free. So I don't know. Did you used to download the iTunes on your phone?
And there we go. We can stop there. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. But at the same time, I felt heard the whole time. I felt like I was engaged the whole time. And before you know it, 2-minute conversations become 5 to 10, and it just feels like it goes by really quickly. And it's so effective. So you did it. It's so funny to me. Again, I have to just like reiterate, I didn't point you out as being wrong for any reason other than it's what I always anticipate. It's always.
No, I always open. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So it's really funny. But no, that's really good. And again, what we can start doing is being really clever with this as we start mastering it. So I'll give you a really good example before I move on. And the example is, again, I was selling. I was an agent. I wasn't a supervisor at this point. I was still an agent, and we were selling coins. So we were selling like 50-cent pieces and silver dollars. And I had this super sweet old woman call in. And I don't know how the conversation got to it, but it started getting to like her grandson playing baseball, and he hit a home run, and she was so proud of him. And before I knew it, like my call counter was like up to 7 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how do I take somebody who's talking about baseball and her grandson hitting a home run and sell her coins? Like, how do I bring that back and not lose this sale or this conversation? And this method clicked. So I waited for a little breath of air from her and said, that's awesome. Like, I can't tell you how awesome that is to hear and how cool that must feel to see him do that and be there to see him actually hit that home run. And I'm sure he was extremely happy that you were a part of it, as well as any grandson should be, for sure. And, one thing I want to mention here, just to throw it out there, is that I actually get a lot of grandparents calling in to get these coin sets that you're talking about as gifts, so that these grandchildren of theirs can really learn what money is, and they can learn about the value of money, and they can really learn about everything that it has to offer, as well as saving and collecting. And I can't think of a better way to tell him congratulations than getting him one of these too. So did you want one for yourself and for your grandson then? And it was like boom, she bought 5. And because she bought one for like every single grandchild and was like, that's a great idea. And she just bought them for every grandchild. But at the same time, that conversation that I threw in, that didn't sound like a jerk way of switching the topic. It was very fitting. And I still acknowledged what she said and repeated what she said and had a conversation, not a sales conversation, and just turned it into a sale at that point, because I was just able to change that topic a bit in that adding a statement so that we're back on track. And you can use this for everything. I mean, if you're talking somebody saying, I need to talk to my wife about it as an objection, your statement could be that, believe me, I know 100% what that's like. My wife really prefers me to have those conversations with her before purchasing. And it's one of the reasons we have the 90-day money-back guarantee. That way, you guys could try it out firsthand. You could actually hold it in your hands, look at it, and make the decision with no risk at all. And that's one of the reasons we do that. It's much easier for you guys to make a decision together when it's in front of you. So did you want to go ahead and take advantage of the pricing now? That way you could look at it, and if you need to return it, no worries. What do you think? Yeah. So we can take a negative as well, address the negative, and guide the path of the conversation into a positive too. So it's very good. It's a good skill to be practicing as you go and learning. So yeah, thank you for role playing, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, it's probably a good skill to do in your regular daily life, right?
Yeah, I do it with the wife all the time. So that's when we go downstairs. I mean, we're both parts of this business, right? So she's operations for my business, and we'll go down to talk business all the time. We have so many write-offs that it's ridiculous. I feel bad for our financial team. And we'll talk all the time, and especially business-focused ones where we want to get objections handled and done. We follow this to a T. It's just every single time. It's really good.
That's so cool that you guys are on the same sort of wavelength. That's amazing. That's unusual too.
I met my wife in the first call center I worked in.
So yeah.
So yeah, she's salesy as well. She was a supervisor before I even became a supervisor. So she's really good at what she does. So yeah, it's a wild fit. I never thought I'd work next to my wife and be good about it and be really pleased about it and happy. But yeah, it's worked out really well. It's really cool. So cool. So the things that you want to avoid while being on the call, these are all pretty normal things, but I just express them so that they're just said out loud, right? You want to avoid not listening, right? You want to make sure that you're listening to people, because what are people typically doing when you're on a sales call? They're telling you exactly what you need to know to sell them. So we need to make sure that we listen to give them the right product, but also be able to convert that call or that conversation into a sale. The other one, not understanding. And the last one, misinterpretation. So you'll see HCT. You've heard it from me before. You'll hear it many times from now. Honesty, clarity, transparency. These three things need to exist in any conversation, any relationship, for it to be right, for it to be effective, for it to be complete and long-term, right? So we need honesty, clarity, transparency. So if you didn't understand something they expressed to you, I never expect you to just go on about your day and just continue the call. That needs to be called out. We need to address that. We need to make sure that, you know what, I'm not sure I understand what you meant on that last part about the pain in your back. Could you go over that again? Like, where was that exactly? Help me understand. People get really excited when you ask for clarity because, again, they're like, oh my gosh, this person cares. They're really wanting to listen to what's going on. And not understanding is big, but misinterpretation is another one, right? That's that clarity and transparency side too. If something is misinterpreted, especially when we're dealing with pain and pain relief and supplements, we need to make sure we have that fleshed out and understood. So we need to make sure that not only are we being honest, clear, and transparent, but the people we're talking to are as well, so that we can send them away with the right solution. And that's really big. So make sure you're avoiding those. I don't have any hesitation that you will be using those and not avoiding them. So I think you're going to be just fine. The other ones, the other never do's, this is like the only negative slide you'll see, the never. Never do the following: fake care. I don't care who you are. You have to be genuine. You have to be authentic. If you don't actually care about helping these people, then we can't have you selling on the team. And that goes back to the first pieces that we were talking about with tone and prejudgment. And you have to be genuine and authentic in today's day and age, because if you're not, they'll go to a competitor who is. And we can't fake that care. We have to care. You're talking to people that for 20 years, 30 years, maybe more, have had pain affect their lives in a negative way that they thought is normal. And like people literally call saying, I cannot pick up my grandchildren. And you can't fake caring about that. You can't. So you have to make sure you're caring. The other side is interrupting. My goodness, if you want to lose trust real quick, it's interruption. That's really big. Become distracted. We're working at home, so that's why I ask in the questionnaire, have you worked from home before? Because people are so easily distracted at home. So we want to make sure that you don't become distracted. Losing interest, that's another one. Just like along there with fake care, people can tell real quick that you lost interest. And then guess what? They're probably not going to buy from you. Improperly change the subject. I have heard people spill their heart out before. And oh my gosh, I have all of these problems, all these diagnoses, and it's just ruining my life. And I'm so excited that I read everything that you guys have to offer. And I just can't say that I appreciate you guys enough. This is amazing. Okay, the subject is that gratitude. So let's give that gratitude back before we change the subject. But I've heard people say, great, so did you want to purchase 2 more? Or no, you just changed the subject from like gratitude to sale. That's an improper change of subject. Make sure you express the gratitude. And then be judgmental. I already told you the 2 stories about judging as well. So here's one I'm sure you ran into a lot in the fitness and training industry: objections, right?
Right.
Objections sometimes people hate. I am that guy that loves them. I love objections because in my eyes, most people see them as negatives. I see them as a positive because you just told me what I need to solve in order to sell you. And I couldn't be asking for anything better on a sales call than exactly why you're not buying. So give me that objection. That's a positive to me. I've opened up communication enough with you to where you've shared that information. Awesome. Now it's my job to solve it. So objection handling is really, really something I look at in a positive light. And I think once you go into it thinking in a positive way, you'll do nothing but succeed with handling objections. And there are many ways to handle objections, but the go-to for me in this organization specifically that's been really effective for the customer support team as well as the sales teams here is something I created called history, empathy, reality. History, empathy, reality. Yay. So history, empathy, reality does a few things for the customer. It makes them feel heard. It validates their objection, and it gives them resolution. And obviously, in making them feel heard, it makes them feel understood as well, right? So an objection to me is somebody that craves to be understood, somebody that craves to have resolution, and somebody that wants to make sure they're not alone. Those are like big pieces of an objection that we need to hit when we go to solve them. So history, very simple. Let's say, you know what, it's too much money, right? That's the objection. History part is just validating that they're not alone in that objection, right? You know what? I've heard that a lot in the past from previous customers. Great. Oh, that makes me feel good as a customer because I'm not alone. Nobody wants to be that one guy that asks an objection and feels wrong about it, right? So nobody wants to have somebody respond with, yeah, I never heard that before. I don't know where to go from here. You don't want to be alone in your objection. So history, a lot of customers have said the same in the past. Empathy, and I can totally understand where you and they were coming from. Understand is such a powerful word. Understood is so powerful. It's equally as powerful as sorry most of the time. So when we express sorry or sorrow, that's like pity, right? So I prefer empathy, understanding. I prefer understanding somebody's situation. So a lot of people have said it in the past. I totally understand where you and they were coming from. And then reality, you're going to solve that objection. But what they found is that once they started actually using these products and they started working in their body, they were able to say goodbye to some of that crappy medical expense that's on the back end as far as prescriptions and going to the doctor constantly. And so they really were able to see, oh, I understand now. Not only am I getting something in the front end, but I'm not having to worry about all the other care that I had to pay for. So you're actually saving money in the long run. So history, empathy, reality. We always start with, many have said it before, I understand where you're coming from. I can totally hear you out here. Here's the reality of the situation. And we're able to present that and then end on a question always, right? So history, empathy, reality, and then we end on a question so that we don't have that dead air. I always want you to end on questions. Does that make sense? Good. What did you use for a lot of your objection stuff? Did you have a specific go-to process that was mapped out to handle an objection, or was it more like you felt out the customer first before?
Well, I mean, we trained on objections. If you didn't overcome objections, you would have sold exactly zero. I mean, everybody objected. Mm-hmm. So we had specific scripts that we did memorize, which was a good foundation, because when you first start doing it and somebody objects, you're just like, I want to think about it. Okay, so you can fall back on that until, it was experience and trial and error. So that when you do it, 8 times a day, every single day, you figure out what works, what doesn't work. Some things in the script didn't work. Some things people were offended by. So, you figure that out. And then like you said, it has to be yourself. So you can't certainly recite a script. It's for when you're newer and you need something to fall back on. But you figure out, what works, and the main thing is to be genuine about it. I mean, really, and it always goes to putting myself in their place. Well, I need to talk to my husband. I totally understand. I have a husband too. So you figure out, what works. I think experience in doing it a lot really, really helps, and you become more comfortable with it too.
Totally. So. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, no, good. This is all good. I mean, I'm feeling really good about this. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this one, sandwich in the bag. That's like one of the oldest methodologies in the sales handbook, is that positive, negative, positive. And I usually say it in terms of two things: objection handling, right? So positive, negative, positive could easily be benefit, negative, benefit. And the biggest thing for me is price. When you're breaking down price, you never want to end on price and stop your sentence, right? Never. You never want to do that. And the reason is because as somebody sitting here listening to you, if you're going to try to pitch me, let's say one of our heating pads, which are $249, and you tell me, listen, this thing's going to be fantastic. It's going to relieve that pain and really stretch out that back, really help with circulation. And it's just $249. Like my brain then is just like focused on that last thing you said, which is like, oh, 249, 249, 249. Oh, that's money, money, money. That's a lot of money. So I, as a human, start to like have buyer's remorse before I even buy at that point. Instead of ending on or like using those benefits, yeah, you're going to have great use with this. It's going to feel so relaxing at night for you to use that. And for the fact that it's just $249, you just can't beat the amount of circulation that's going to bring you and pain relief as well. Okay, so now I'm thinking about like circulation and pain relief. Okay, perfect. So that's why sandwiching the bad is really good for me. There's really no bad in this company, which is something I love. And it's, for me, the negative here most of the time is going to be price, that price reveal. So we never want to end on a price reveal. We always want to end on a positive note so that they really understand what they're getting after hearing the price they have to pay. We don't want them to hear the price. We want them to hear the price and then realize that's totally worth the price because I'm getting this. So that's really big for me. But this can be used for negatives as well. If for some reason somebody says, listen, I'm outside of my 90-day money-back guarantee, and I don't like this. It's not working for me. That's something that we could easily handle with a negative in between, right? Because we can't do anything about that 90-day money-back guarantee when they're outside of it. But we can easily start with, well, look, according to what I'm looking at, you are over that 90-day money-back guarantee. But the beauty is that you've had this in your system for 90 days now. Now, though you can't take advantage of that money-back guarantee, you can actually up your dosage if you wanted to. And I have a feeling that you're going to feel the effects when you do that, or you change your dosage, or if you couple it with something like super joint support. So, we can't do anything. So it's not like I could be like, don't worry about that 90-day money-back guarantee. I'm refunding you half the time. So that's a negative. We have to overcome the negative somehow and really talk to them about like relieving it. And you never want to end on the negative. So sandwiching the bad, that's very tacky way of saying it, but it's good. Here's the other one. So if there's one thing that I see, other than asking questions, that people do incorrectly in sales roles across the board, anywhere that I've consulted with, anywhere I've coached, anywhere I've taught, asking for the sale. And there's so many different methods of asking for the sale. Just asking for this initial sale of, hey, did you want to purchase that Heal and Soothe today? Perfect. You asked for the sale. There are more ways of doing it. Referrals. Hey, do you know anybody else that we can help with the products that we have that you'd like us to reach out to and see if we can help today? That's asking for a sale. Repeat customer. Listen, I'm glad that Heal and Soothe is working so well for you. I guarantee you, if you couple that with super joint support, it's going to work even more effective. Did you want to go ahead and add that product to this order as well? So asking for the sale has many different methods, many different abilities, but people don't do it. People do not do it. Why do you think I have so many people that are in sales roles that don't ask? What do you think their setback is?
I think they're afraid to hear the no. They're afraid of rejection, I guess.
Yep, it's exactly it. It's exactly it. And for me, that's because we have the wrong understanding and feeling towards what a no actually is. So many people hear no and they think of a negative. For me, not at all. If I hear a no, it's a positive for me. The no literally to me means that I have a lesson that I can learn. I had a no. It's one step closer to a yes, as they all say. But it's one step closer to a yes. But at the same time, I can learn from that. I can understand, okay, Like, what went wrong? Was it okay that the no was given? Is it not a product fit for them? If so, great, I did my job. But if for some reason it would have worked for them, let me reassess. Let me fine tune. Let me optimize and try it again. For me, when I hear a no, it helps me understand that I'm still learning. I'm still being educated in this, and I get no's. I mean, you're talking to a guy who charges a lot of money for coaching and consulting. I get no's still, and I love them because I can actually ask questions at this point. That's like, what made you not buy? I'd love to know to improve later because I want to know. So for a no, it's a positive to me, just like objections are, because it provides a lesson. And that's really the key for me. So asking for the sale is something I see done very little. It's actually the reason Thursday and Friday, I'm teaching the customer service reps how to save a sale. They're not asking.
Yeah.
When we did a poll last week, 57% of the agents never asked to save the sale, even though they're told they have to, because they're scared. They're terrified to do it. But when we realize that, like, you're actually helping the customer, you're helping them. Like, I'm going to put it to them as you have a responsibility here. You know, what do you feel worse about? Do you feel worse that you had to ask for the sale? Or do you feel worse that that person could have left, returned the product, and we had a solution to rid them of the pain that they've had for so many years in their life and we never gave it to them? Like, that feels dirty to me more than anything. So for me, asking the sale is key. There are a couple different ways. Now, I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm just saying that I think people are going to be effective when it comes to their personality, personally, in one or the other. And there's non-assumptive and there's assumptive. I am totally an assumptive guy. Do you know the difference, first of all?
Yeah, I think I believe I'm an assumptive also. I just assume the sale. So what I would do is, you know, at the end of the presentation, I would pull up my screen and I would get my list of trainers, and I had already figured out in talking to them what trainer they like, what's the best personality, what do you like in a trainer? Mm-hmm. Oh, great, John is a great fit for you. I'd pull up my screen. I would find when John was available in the next couple of days. I'd be like, John has got a slot at 2:00. You ready to get started? So that's how I would assume the sale.
Good. Very good. Yeah, I'm totally assumptive as well. I'm even more assumptive to where I don't even leave the possibility for a yes or a no, even though you'll still get no's. But mine are always either ors that don't lead to a yes or a no. So for me, my assumptive sales are always awesome. Did you want that on Visa or did you want that on MasterCard? Which credit card? Did you want one or did you want two? Great, fantastic. Okay, did you want to start tomorrow or did you want to start next week? Perfect. And then what was another one? Shipping dates. Did you want that shipped to you today? We could get that out as fast as possible. Or did you want that starting to ship next week? So there are a lot of different assumptive pitches that you could do that don't feel weird, but yeah, I'm very much that assumptive person. Now, non-assumptive works quite well for certain people as well. And it just really depends. Sometimes you know for a fact that after having a conversation and learning somebody, that you could sell them being non-assumptive and just being very honest and open. I really think this is going to be a great fit. And after this conversation, I really feel like you should give it a shot. So what do you think? Well, I have this discounted price. Did you want to give it a shot today? Perfect. Some people really respond to that. And some people, as far as sales people are concerned, work much better in non-assumptive situations versus assumptive. Sometimes that assumptive is like advanced sales. But for me, the only concern I have, the only thing that I really give a crap about, asking. I don't care if you ask assumptively or non-assumptively, you best be asking. So many people leave so much money on the table because they just don't ask. That's it.
What do you mean by, it's a bit different. So they're on the phone and they're talking to somebody who's called in to buy. Is that, am I correct on that?
Yeah. So if you're talking to us, obviously we're outbound, right? So outbound's a little different. For sure. We have to ask for the sale there. Now, inbound sales, I'm talking about adding to the sale, right? So upsells, adding to the sale, asking for continuities, or if they came to purchase 3 bottles of Heal and Soothe, see if they want to go with the 6, because we could save them a deal. We could get them money saved on that. So by that, I mean, like, at least ask to see if they want to upsell, cross-sell, get another product, do a different package. When it comes to customer service, they're not asking to save the sale. So for me, they're having people call in and say, I want a refund. They're just saying, okay. They're not trying to like solve that objection or save the sale. They're not even asking any questions to try to be able to ask to save the sale. So right now we're going to be training them on the idea of, you know what, find out what that objection is, ask, please, and try to solve that objection. If you solve it, ask if they want to continue. That's all there is. So that's what I mean by the customer service side. All right. So again, upsell, cross-sell, save the sale. These are all things that we have, and we'll be working on scripts together through those as well. Now, the biggest lesson that I have to teach, though, is expectations when you're dealing with customers on the phone. So again, honesty, clarity, transparency is really big for me, but expectations are even bigger for me. So if you had to define an expectation in one word other than expectation, what would it be? What do you think?
One word.
I've never asked this question. I'm excited.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. Result.
Close. I mean, that's a good one. That's really good. For me, it's promise. For me, an expectation is something that I told you I'm going to do. And, you know, when you're talking about an expectation with the customer, you're talking about something that you can use to build trust. So I purposely set expectations all the time. And there is a saying that I use a lot, and it's make promises on purpose, keep promises with a purpose. And that all comes together with expectations. So you darn well better know that at the end of a call, I'm going to set an expectation. Because then if I deliver that expectation outside of the call, not only have we talked and met and you like me in the first call, but then outside of that call, I delivered on a promise. So my trust goes up. And then if I have another expectation that I deliver on, no matter how small, my trust with you goes up. And trust keeps building with every expectation that's set and delivered on. So for me, a promise, you know, making promises with a purpose, that is a purpose to know that, hey, listen, our conversation goes further than today. It's going to continue. We're going to keep having these conversations, and I'm not out of your life. This isn't it. And I'm going to keep that promise with a purpose, that purpose being building your trust. So whenever, you know, I have a person on the line in outbound right now that says, hey, listen, I'm out of town. I'm going to be leaving next week. And we set an expectation of, no problem. How about I give you a call 2 weeks from today at 2:00 p.m. your time? Sound good? And they say, yeah, totally. Give me a call then. You darn well better deliver on that expectation of calling that person at 2 p.m. on 2 weeks from that day, so that they, in their head, start to subconsciously be like, man, this person really delivers on their promises. And I can trust this person before I even start talking about buying. So when we set expectations wherever we can, I always try to find places to set expectations. Whether that's, you know, we're going to send this out with this paperwork that you already know is in it. And then when they get that, they see, they delivered on the expectation. It comes with the instruction manual. Or it's, you know what, I see you're busy today. I'll give you a call tomorrow, same time. I'll talk to you then. Whatever it may be, you know, you bought 4 of these really expensive products from me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to call you in a month. I just want to give you a call in a month to see how things are going, just check in. And every time we deliver, it's just trust, 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 trust. Shirley, the best one we have in outbound, she sets expectations a lot. Like, I'm going to reach out to you in a month. I'll reach out to you in 2 weeks to see if you did want to purchase. And these people now just call her. I'm telling you, like, they dial her and they leave her voicemails, and the voicemails just say, hey, I just wanted to place an order with you, nobody else. And she like has this following of people that just trust her in comparison to our customer support team. I mean, we just took, again, customer support away from the outsourced team, and we're building our own internal one because our outsourced team was not good. They didn't deliver on expectations, anything. So the fact that we have people saying, forget customer service, I'm not calling them. I'm going to call Shella.
Yeah.
Big deal. And that's because she has built trust over the few months that they've interacted, and they trust her like crazy, and they only want to talk to her. So that's really what an expectation is for me. An expectation is a promise. And the biggest piece here is, how can we tell whether we have properly set an expectation or not? And it's that whole when, where, who, what, why that I think really helps understand that. If I can ask any of those questions based on your expectation that you set, I didn't set it properly, right? So if you say, hey, I'm going to give you a call next week. Cool. Okay. You will give me a call. Why are you going to give me a call? I don't know. When next week? I mean, you told me next week, but you didn't define enough. Are you going to call me on this number? Or are you going to call me, right? So we need to make sure that we really define those expectations too. This was a problem we were running into with customer service, answering tickets. They would answer tickets by saying, okay, I'm going to submit this to the proper team.
Yeah.
Okay. When can I expect a response? Why are you sending it to them versus you handling it? Who's going to be getting back to me? Is it you? Is it them? So we really need to make sure we're setting full detailed expectations, because again, every single thing that you could set as an expectation is a promise you could deliver on. So why wouldn't you fill that promise potential and really set it aside? I'm going to call you on this phone number. You'll get a call from the number that called you today, actually. That's my personal one here. It'll be me that gives you a call. It'll be around 3 o'clock p.m. 1 week from today, and we'll lock in that order so that you have it ready to go. Okay, I have no questions. I know that you are going to call me when you tell me you're going to call me, and why. So when we set expectations, we need to make sure we set them in a way that really defines what's going on. Again, something my 17-year-old brother-in-law would not be good at doing. He would easily be like, yeah, I'll give you a call. Like, Joey, come on, man. Like, when? What are you doing? And he's like, I don't know. So whatever. That's Joe. So when we come to this, the end of this presentation, at least, we've got a couple more slides, but what's the point of like me teaching this, of everything that you and I agree on? And it's another saying I have, and it's don't assume appreciation. Don't assume appreciation. I feel like too many times nowadays, companies, as well as customers, as well as humans in general, assume that the other people that they're dealing with or communicating with know that they're appreciated. I think it's just assumed too much. And once we, as a company and people, start really showing that appreciation to our customers and other humans that come into contact with us in general, not even just in work, we start really building relationships that last. Because we're very honest, we express our appreciation and our gratitude in a way that nobody else does. And I end every single call with the sentence, I appreciate you. I end most of my emails when I'm talking with customers or anybody with, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. And by verbalizing that appreciation, we really set ourselves apart, not just as a company, but as the humans in the company. And all of these things that I've listed out here are all in an effort to properly show appreciation for these people. We appreciate them so much that we need to hear them. We need to make sure we get them what they need. We want them to know that we're taking care of them. We want them to not have any questions around expectations or anything. We want them to know that without them, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have just hired you if it weren't for the people that we have calling in and we appreciate. We wouldn't be scaling to an $18 million year right now if it weren't for the people that we appreciate. And I feel like too many people assume it. Instead of just taking a minute before you hang up that phone on that order and just verbalizing, hey, by the way, I really appreciate you. Let me know if you need anything at all. Just being able to do that is huge. So all of this is to show appreciation, because we shouldn't assume that people realize how much we appreciate them. It should be verbalized. And then the third stage, obviously we went before the call, during the call, after the call. This is the easiest, right? It's learn, learn, learn after the call. Every call is education, every single one. And I could learn from the best calls I've ever had just as much as I can learn from the worst calls. I have ever had, and I've had some bad ones in my day. And I can learn from them all. We just have to have that mentality as salespeople that it is a learning experience. We can't get discouraged. We can't be upset. I'm the first guy that as soon as I screw up a call, I listen to the recording of the call and I start taking notes excitedly, and I'm not upset about it. I just figure out what went wrong. I reverse engineer and I learn. And just as long as you're in that mindset of mentally like knowing I could learn from this, that's all that matters, I think, for long-term success for salespeople. And that's the big piece of the after the call is learn, learn, learn. So yeah. So any questions so far?
I have a few written down. Do you want me to ask them now or wait? You want me to wait?
Are they related to PowerPoint? If so, then let's do it.
Okay.
I'm writing them down too. Don't mind me.
I guess they're sort of related. You know what? They're more related to the company. So why don't how about you go ahead and finish and then?
Yeah, no, this is it. So essentially, all of this stuff is just intended to really help you understand what ethical sales really should be. And I feel like you're already on that page, which is really good. And it's one of the reasons that I really wanted you to be working with us, because that is what's needed in this industry. There are so many competitors in what we do in the supplement space. And if we just take time to like actually genuinely care and authentically give a crap about these people calling in with this pain and these problems, we set ourselves aside pretty quickly and pretty easily. And a perfect example is there's somebody downtown that owns a supplement company, and they're a really popular company. And I'm not going to name them because I love him and he's nice, but he just teaches his people wrong. So they're very hustler based. I walk into this building and it's a sales room with 40 salespeople, and they're all doing like the stand-up desk. They've got the Bluetooth in, and they're all pacing, back and forth, which I do. If you can't tell, I'm energy focused, so that's fine. But you hear them, and they're just so pushy, like so pushy. And if I were a customer on that end, I have so many choices that if I buy a supplement and you call me and you're pushy to me, trying to get me into some kind of coaching or training with your products, with some kind of personal training membership, and it's like painfully pushy, I'll stop buying from you and I'll just buy on Amazon and not talk to anybody. I'm fine with that. That's a totally fine thing for me to do. It's possible and it's easy. I mean, Amazon makes that really easy for me to just say later and just buy what I just bought from you without having to talk to anybody. So why do I come to you instead of going to Amazon and not having to deal with people? It's because I like dealing with your people. And that experience that I go through when I deal with Healthy Back Institute, by far way better than ever just going on and buying something on Amazon. I actually know I'm getting what I need. I know that I'm going to have the conversation with somebody that's educated and they're going to help me. And that's why I come to them. So yeah, so that's really it. So that's kind of like the high level of all of this. So we'll go over your questions here in a second, but tomorrow is going to be kind of combining these concepts with product knowledge so that we can start really role playing. Instead of talking about the weather or Mac computers, we could start talking about some products as well. Sound good?
Sounds good, yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's hear it. So give me some questions, knowing full well, by the way, that I may not have the answers, but I'll get them for you.
Of course. Okay, so we talked about customer service. I totally agree that what I want is to work for a company that stands apart in customer service. I'm pretty sure I know the one that you're talking about, the other one. And I work for a company like that, the pushy company. In my gyms, I would always set it apart. I always change the attrition rate too. And every gym I went into, I changed the attrition rate because people were lied to and then things were canceling. I moved it up, and yet I fought it every step of the way. Even with vice presidents, I fought being ethical. So if you Google LA Fitness and you Google LA Fitness scam, even though it's a legitimate company, you'll come up with 1 million responses.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was just people, so I understand that it was people not, I don't know, human nature. It was just really human nature. So when I Googled some of the reviews on this company, it was a lot what I thought was good was there was not a lot about hardly anything about the product being bad, but it was, of course, all about being locked into the auto delivery, and I couldn't get out, and multiple emails, and I've read through all of those. So I'm just kind of wondering on that end. And again, I have experience with this because I had to deal with it every day, so I understand how that works.
Yeah.
But what was that? But because of, is that changing, or obviously I feel like there's maybe some clarity that wasn't, I don't know, like.
Yeah, so don't mind me going standing to sitting. So yeah, and I didn't go mechanical, so it's just the slow process. So yeah, so good question. So what we find is that we do state that it is an auto ship. So what you're talking about is typically we'll have some kind of offer, which is like a free trial offer, right? So Heal and Soothe will go to like a $9.95, and that's to cover shipping, quote unquote, right? And then we ship that out. It's a full bottle, 90 count bottle, and they get to try it, but they are enrolled in auto ship. So we do place that in the marketing material. They do know that because they have to sign up for it, but they're older demographic. They're not looking as much. So here's the notes. Number one is that they can totally cancel. They just have to make sure that they reach out to us. The big issue that we were running into a couple times is the previous customer service team kind of sucked at handling stuff. So we're fixing that now to make sure that people do get their refunds and quit. But what you'll find is that most people complain for one of two reasons. The auto ship, but the complaint about the auto ship is interesting. It's not that they feel like they're being scammed and locked into money being taken out of their account. It's very interesting because when we ask people and we've surveyed people, it's because they don't like receiving monthly shipments. Very, very weird, very different. I love my monthly shipments, but this demographic doesn't like being locked into, I have to get something shipped to my house every single month. It's very weird, but we solve that through multi-bottles. So if they call and they say, hey, listen, I want to cancel this just because I don't want to be locked into something delivered to my house every single month, that's where we offer like the multi-bottle packs, and it works really well. So yeah, so there's the one. And two, it's marketing, right? So if you think of all the people that weren't expecting it and didn't read the fact that it auto-enrolled them, it's just talking to them when they call in, right? As far as customer service is concerned, just having that conversation of it did absolutely lock you into there, but listen, you called in time for a 90-day money-back guarantee. We'll take care of that if you need to. So that's number one. That's one of the reasons they call in. And I'm trying to think what the second top reason is that they complain. Oh, no results. And that's where the dosage issue comes into play that I talked about yesterday. The dosage and the usage are the two things that are really hard to tell them unless they call in and talk to us about it. So a lot of them will just go online and post negative things, which sucks, but you'll have that with as many customers as we do. So there you go. So that was like the long-winded version of all that stuff. They can totally cancel. They just have to know that they need to call us. And a lot of them kind of just go on to boards and complain a bit. And we try to handle those people, actually. We'll actually try to find those people and call them and help them. But yeah, so that's my long-winded answer. I hope that helped.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And I know you mentioned you replaced your customer service because, they were saying things like, well, I sent 3 and 4 emails and emails weren't responded to. So I'm assuming that's why you replaced the customer service.
Yeah.
But like I said, I know how that goes. I used to get, when we were switching people's programs out, I would get witnesses. I would pull their trainer in, get the witness, have them sign on a sheet of paper. This is what you're doing. And sure enough, they'd come back 3 weeks later, go, you never told me this. You never told me you were locking. So I get that. Kind of,
It's totally normal. The one thing that I will say that it's pretty nice. Like if I go in right now and I log in, for the amount of people that purchase, today, new customers, we already had 207. When you're talking about offers, you're talking about 715 offers made. We've already made $27,000 today. And when you really punch those numbers, it's not that bad. When I think about the people that do complain, I mean, that's pretty good. It stinks that people do complain. We do try to fix the small people as well. The one or two here that complain, we want to fix just as much. But yeah, it's when you look at it in like the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. And it's just that old school direct response issue of, you know what, it's a marketing message. It is written, but it's not like we're going to put in the headline, auto enroll today. So it is written. So they just need to be walked through it, and that's what we do.
Got it. Yeah, no, it's a small amount. Google, just take a second. Google LA Fitness scam. There's over 1 million responses. All right, so here's my other question. Wait, I have one more. I don't know, maybe that was it. Oh, I was just wondering about you. What is your largest client?
Like me personally, or are you talking HBI?
That's good. I never thought about HBI, but what's your largest client with your company?
Yeah, so biggest clients right now, I mean, Jesse's pretty big when it comes to it. So he's definitely one of the top. But I also do a lot of work with other channels like the people that are in Truth About Cancer, Truth About Vaccines, Sacred Plant, those people.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, and Truth About Cancer is like a 50 million to a 70 million. So that's entrepreneur based. I mean, in the past, I've worked for, when it comes to call centers, $300 to $400 million in recurring revenue. But I don't know, corporate gig. I'd rather deal with these people that I really like Jesse, and just make him some extra money and enjoy his life. So
what is HBI's biggest client? Is there like a large client?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm wondering what the longest lifetime value we have is. That's a really good question. So I'm gonna do something real quick here. Let me try this. I'm interested, like you are right now. Let me let you know. All right, let me see here. So let's see if we have any lifetime values greater than $5,000. Because that's pretty good for a supplement company, if so.
Is it? Gosh, I would think so. I know I spent more than 5,000 on supplements, for sure.
Yeah, it's processing. Oh man, it's long processing time tells me that. That's pretty.
A lot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there are a lot of people. There are 283 entries that have spent that amount. Holy cow. So let's up it one more time. I'm just interested. Let's go 7,000. All right. What about now? Still processing. That's a lot of money.
So 7,000 over what period? Well, it probably didn't show you. Does it show you what period of time?
Let me see. That is 112 entries. Oh my goodness gracious. Let me export this. I'll pull it, and I can pull the person that has the most. So I'm very interested in this. My exports. Oh, come on. You can do it. You can do it. I know you can. There we go. All right, I'll download this. I'll open it in Excel, and you and I will both have a good time learning.
I love stuff like this.
Yeah, no, this is good. I know that it goes to the thousands. I just don't know how much into the thousands. And what I want to find out is I want to find the top person, and I want, just because I'm a customer experience guy, I want Jesse to call them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you could, do a little recognition for them.
Yeah, I just want Jesse to call and say thanks. All right, lifetime value is what I will organize this by.
Or I could call them and say thanks on behalf of Jesse, and then sell them some more stuff.
All right, let me see here. Lifetime value. Okie dokie. Here we go. Drum roll. That's not organized. Oh, that is organized in lifetime value. Holy wow. All right. So the biggest lifetime value that we
Drum roll.
is $44,000.
Over what period of time did it say?
So he has been a customer since 2005. So 2017 minus. All right, so we've got 12 years. So if he is 45 divided by
Yeah, like 600 a year.
Yep. Divided by 12 again. So $312.50 every single month for that period of time.
Show what they buy.
What was that?
Does it show what they buy, what products they buy?
Oh, I can punch in. I can pop into that easily. The one below that, by the way, that is over the course of 234 orders he has placed. That's amazing. So what did they buy? He buys a lot of the online education packages. So we have different packages like Live Paying Free is a membership side, right? So he's very into that stuff. And what else is he into? Let's see, subscriptions, payment methods. Yeah, so he's really into the education. I wonder about the guy behind him who is at 33,000. I wonder if it's the same. Let's see.
Interesting. So no supplements or?
In the past, yeah. But it looks like these people are all very much like educated as far as some of them have like fitness businesses and they're really wanting that education side of things.
Wow.
Really cool. So anyway, very neat stuff. Very cool. So I would say the average. Let me look at this one. 7,000 feels pretty good. Is as far as the people to really focus on. So really exciting, really interesting. Yeah, this person loves books and heal and soothe. So between that 5 and 7,000, it feels like our hottest customers. Not as rare as the 40,000. Not as rare, but very existent and very active. Yeah. Really fun. That's cool. So good question. I really like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool if like Jesse called him and like sent him something free, like a free heating pad or something. Thank you gift or something like that. Look, I'm already spending his money. That was about it. I was just curious about you. Do you play anywhere?
No, good question. Not really. I used to a lot, especially back in Ohio, where I had bands, and then I've been in bands that have done a couple tours back in the day. But I just hang out at home now. My favorite part about playing was always the recording process. So for me, it was the idea almost like somebody editing film. I loved the idea of sitting down with a guitar plugged into recording equipment and like 8-hour session just recording an entire song, and at the end of the day being like, I created this song. And that's really what I got into. So when I moved to Austin, I really focused on, okay, what did I actually love about music, and let me just do that. And it was recording. So I record a lot, and that's what I do.
Yeah, I have a music background also. I studied classical music, but we have a band right behind us. They live right behind us, and there's a recording studio right behind us too. They've recorded a couple of their albums they're called Tessie Lou and Shotgun Stars, and they play here locally. They play it. I don't know if you've ever been out here to Pootie's, or if you've heard of it. Out in Spicewood. They get a lot of talent. It's right down the road from Willie Nelson, where Willie Nelson lives. So they play some of the places locally. So I didn't know if you'd ever if you were playing around or anything like that. So
yeah, no, that's really cool. No, I love the live music. Obviously, being here in Austin, that's one of the key reasons we moved here for me. So I love going and watching shows. So you'll have to keep me updated on when they actually are playing, because that'd be fun. We love going to like the Lake Travis area. We have two favorite places that are just like zen places outside of the hustle and bustle of the city. We like Georgetown a lot, and we also like the Lake Travis area for sure. it's just so calm in comparison to this. I mean, like I think probably 5 trains went by in the amount of time that you and I were talking, and then an ambulance or 2 or 3 went by, and it's just a lot of noise, a lot of everything. So every now and then when I'm like, I need to disconnect, babe, we'll go and kayak Lake Georgetown, or we'll go hang out and get an Airbnb on Lake Travis or something.
That's cool. Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, you'd probably like Pooties. You can Google it, Pooties. They have some pretty big acts, and it's cool because it's not it's not 6th Street. I know that's fun sometimes, but sometimes it's crazy. And yeah, okay, you do. So yeah, it's cool to come up and see live music in an area that's not 6th Street. So
how do you spell the bar name?
Poodie, Poodies.
Got it.
They're like a lot. Like my husband's there every weekend, and we go a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Got it. Written down. Cool. We will definitely check that out. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, let me know. But tomorrow is going to be, again, combining the two to really be very specific towards Healthy Back Institute and how that sales process goes. And one thing I would like to do as well, if you please just do me a favor, and if I don't think about this, remind me tomorrow. And that would be to share some of the recordings from Shirley with you as well, so you can start listening to kind of how she handles things. I mean, this demographic just wants sweethearts. That's all they want. So they just want people that are just super sweet, super caring and kind. It's like one of the easiest gigs to fill for sure, because it's just all these people want are people that care and just talk to them, and it's pretty nice. So I'll send you some of those if you remind me, so that we could find some and you could listen and actually get a feel for the customers too.
Perfect. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting through that. And I appreciate you. And yeah, let me know if you need anything. Keep writing the questions. Those were really good questions. I appreciate you looking for clarity on those. And yeah, just let me know if you need anything.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. This was great. This was really helpful today. And I'm really excited. I can't wait to just get started, reading, really digging down into the products. I can't wait to actually start using them and get started. They sound pretty amazing. They sound better than the ones I'm taking now. I take a lot of them. So
good. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the products are great, but it's such a refreshing company to work with. So I'm excited for you to, after this training, be looped into the Slack channels and start to get to know everybody else, because if anything motivates me other than the products and the people we're helping, it's the people I'm working for in this company. I want to see them succeed because I care about them so much. So it's a good team.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I feel pretty confident that I'll do well at this.
I think so too. You're saying all the right things so far. So so we're doing well. So don't you worry. But yeah, let me know if you need anything. Other than that, have an amazing day, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Bye.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Talk soon.